Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com.
Hi, this is Scott Wilkinson sitting in for Leo Laporte. This is the Tech Guy podcast, originally heard on the Premier Radio Network, episode number 829, recorded December 10th, 2011. Enjoy!
The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Print and buy official U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer with Stamps.com. You'll never go to the post office again. Try it free right now. Visit Stamps.com, click the radio microphone, and use the offer code TechGuy. And buy the Epson Workforce Pro, the world's fastest two-sided printer, delivering high-speed, two-sided color printing, copying, scanning, and faxing to keep your business running at full speed. Plus, you'll save on ink. Check out the Epson Workforce Pro this holiday season at Epson.com.
Well, hello there. A great good day to you and welcome. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek and online editor of HomeTheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's enjoying himself immensely, I'm sure, in Paris, France, attending Le Web conference. Mais oui. Yes, he's over there hobnobbing with the likes of Nicolas Sarkozy and other bigwigs, talking about, what else? Le Web. So, and he's broadcasting from there, which should be, you should be seeing here and there on the TWiT network. But he's asked me to sit in for him this weekend on the Tech Guy show, because after all, it's something like, I don't know, middle of the night over there. So, and I'm very, very happy to do that. And I'm grateful to Leo for the opportunity to sit here for the next 3 hours today and tomorrow answering your home theater questions. Now, of course, Leo talks about everything tech, anything with a chip in it, as he says. Cell phones, smartphones, I guess we would call them now, computers, the internet, tablet PCs, all that kind of stuff, all of which is fascinating, and I love to think and talk about that. But my specialty is home theater. Flat panel TVs, projectors, Blu-ray players, surround sound systems, all that kind of stuff, plus movies in the home and in the commercial cinema, which I may be a bit of a throwback, but I still like going out to the movies, even though I have a killer home theater myself. So I invite all of you to give us a call, give me a call. The number here, of course, is 8888-ASK-LEO. Although today, of course, it's 8888-ASK-SCOTT, but you still want to call that one number, 8888-ASK-LEO. That's 888-827-5536. So, in thinking about what to talk about today, I was thinking about the fact that most of the questions I get, and I get a lot of questions, have to do with what should I buy? Well, that's where HomeTheater.com comes in, of course, because we review a lot of products. And as time has gone on, I've been in this business 20 years now, and as time has gone on, I have found, in general, that the quality of home theater products, audio-video products, has increased and improved over the years, while the cost has come down. It's quite astonishing, really. I remember 42-inch plasma TVs when they first came out costing $10,000. And Blu-ray players, when they first came out, they were $1,000 and more. Now you can get 50-inch plasmas and larger for under $1,000 and Blu-ray players for under $100. And they perform great, and they do a whole lot more than they did in the very beginning of the life of that particular type of product. So AV receivers, the same thing. For $500, we even have one we reviewed for $350. They're great. They do a great job. So what we do on HomeTheater.com is when we find a product that we really like, we designate it as a top pick. And that's great because there's plenty of top picks to choose from if you're shopping for a product. In fact, there are so many that it becomes a bit of an issue sometimes in certain product categories because there are so many good products. How do you choose? Well, in part, that choice depends on your particular situation, the room that you're going to put it in, how much ambient light there is in there, whether or not you can put freestanding speakers or you have to use in-wall speakers. And, of course, there's the all-important spouse acceptance factor, which, you have to take into account. If you're living with a spouse, they need to live with that stuff, too. So one thing that I just recently did that I would invite you to go check out is I posted my own picks. Out of all of our top picks, which are many, I chose the ones that I would buy. That is, if I were shopping in the entry-level price range or the mid-range or the high-end price range, we've separated out our top picks into those three price ranges to help you narrow your focus. But within each of those, I chose my favorite, the one I would buy. So if you go to hometheater.com, you will see that at the top of the homepage, and hopefully that would help you to narrow your focus, narrow your search to find the best product for you. And that's really what we are about at hometheater.com, and what I'm about also on this show and in answering emails, which I answer on our website all the time. You can email me at scott@techguylabs.com, and I post several replies to email questions every week. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing today, certainly for the next 3 hours, answering your questions regarding what to buy, also how to set it up. It's another very important thing we do at hometheater.com, because once you get it home, how do you set it up? How do you get the most out of it? For example, TVs. You take a TV out of the box, a flat panel out of the box, you turn it on, you set it up. It's probably in what we in the industry call torch mode, which is it's outputting as much light as it possibly can. It's just brighter than heck, and you sometimes have to wear sunglasses. It's good for the showroom floor. That's why they do that, because who knows which TV a retailer is going to pull out of the box and set up on their showroom floor. It needs to be as bright as possible to compete with all those lights on the showroom floor. Also to compete for your eyeballs, because it's going to be right next to a bunch of other TVs that are as bright as possible. And so they want to attract your attention. But most of us don't live on a showroom floor. And most of us don't live with Klieg lights overhead all day, all the time. So it's much better to set up your TV appropriately for your living space. And that's one of the things, one of the many things we help you do on hometheater.com. We also answer questions. I certainly answer questions and would love to take questions from you today about how to fix problems. This is one of Leo's mainstays, of course, is how do I fix this problem? My computer crashed. How do I fix it? And there are plenty of things that can go wrong with TVs and AV receivers and all sorts of all the other home theater devices, which are, after all, computers themselves, dedicated computers that do one thing. They display a picture, or they decode sound, or they play a disc. So many problems can arise, and so I'm dedicated also to helping solve problems. So with all of that in mind, I would love to have you give me a call here at 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536, and let me help you choose what to buy, set it up properly, or fix a problem. Now, probably the most common question that I get is, which type of flat panel should I buy, LCD or plasma? And this is the perennial question, and the answer is, it depends, as most answers are. Plasma, I generally prefer the picture quality of plasma. Let me just say that right up front. It's very smooth. It generally looks very good, and I will continue that response right after this. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're on.
Grooving to the music. Kyle Benham there, spinning the tunes. Thank you so much. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek and online editor of HomeTheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Just to finish the thought I had started before the break, the question of LCD or plasma is probably the most common question. And as I said before the break, I prefer plasma, generally speaking, in terms of picture quality. But plasmas, generally speaking, don't put out as much light as LCDs, particularly LED illuminated LCDs. You're going to see this term LED TV, and you're going to think, wow, does that mean it's using LEDs to produce the picture? Well, no. It's using LEDs to illuminate the picture instead of cathode fluorescent lights, cold cathode fluorescent lights, CCFL. And generally speaking, I prefer LED LCDs to conventional LCDs, and both of them actually put out more light than plasmas. So if you're putting it in a room where there's a lot of ambient light, you've got glass doors, lots of windows, or you got to keep the lights on for grandma to be sewing or the kids to be playing in the corner, LCD is probably a better choice. But if you're a videophile, I'm going to say plasma, generally speaking. So that is my short answer to that. I would love to now start getting to the phones, and we are going to start with line 3. Mike in Maine, you're on with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Scott, I am so glad you're on this week because I have a few questions exactly about what you were talking about buying a TV. I've been researching it for a while, and I'm trying to make a few decisions about size, about particular brand, and about sound. And,
sure.
And I've come up with a couple of things that I'm hoping you can help me with. In terms of size, my primary viewing area is in my bedroom, and I'm usually sitting between 9 and 12 feet away.
Okay.
It's not always light and dark. I'm not in a huge theater. I'm pretty much watching TV off the cable box most of the time. I don't even have a video player.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking probably 50 or 55 inch would probably work for me, but I'm trying to figure out, first of all, that in terms of distance.
Well, actually, most people underestimate the size of the screen that they need at their seating distance. So you're between 9 and 12 feet away. Let's call it 10 feet just for argument's sake. And the ideal screen size for that distance, believe it or not, is 70 inches.
Wow.
Yep. Now I'm talking about the immersion factor. If you really want to be immersed in the picture, you need to have your viewing angle be, SMPTE recommends about 30 degrees.
I'll be straight on.
You'll be straight on. No, but what I mean is, from where you are, straight on, what angle do the edges of the screen form with your face?
Oh, okay, I got you.
So SMPTE recommends 30 degrees. THX recommends from 26 to 36 degrees. And at 36 degrees, you'd need an even bigger TV. Now, that's not really going to be practical in your bedroom. So I think a 50-inch would be fine. If you can go up to 55, that would be really great, too. You said you had some ambient light in the room you watched during the day?
Sometimes during the day. There is a window there, and there's a room darkening shade on it because I work nights, and sometimes I have to sleep during the day. So
yes,
it's not too bad.
Yeah. Well, and are you really picky about picture quality?
Well, I was going to ask about that, too, because I'm not incredibly picky, but my mother, can I mention brands? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay. My mother has that I purchased for her a Sony LED TV, and I love. And my brother has a Panasonic Plasma. Pictures on both are great. The Sony, what I noticed, to me anyway, it looks more natural, for lack of a better term.
Really?
to me, it looks like it's smoother, not in terms of motion quality, but the picture to me, it looks like more like I'm looking out a window or at a museum piece, as opposed to the brightness that I see in the Panasonic Plasma. And I set up both, or I had them set up both, with Video Digital Essentials, a DVD.
Oh, very good. Excellent, by the way, and I recommend that to everyone. When I was talking earlier about setting up your TV, it's one of the things you can do about that. To do that is to use a disc like Digital Video Essentials to set the brightness, contrast, color, tint, and sharpness controls, the basic picture controls, which will greatly improve the visual experience.
I spent about 45 minutes with the sets, which is more about that, and I did it twice because once I run through it once, and I wanted to make sure I got it right, and I understood it, and I did it again. So really, it ended up being about an hour and a half.
Sure.
But I think in the long run, it was worth it.
Absolutely. Glad to hear you doing that. That's great.
So, but in terms of the pictures, like what I was saying, is some of the TVs, Samsung, for example, they seem really almost cartoonish when I've looked at them.
Well, but they might not have been set up properly.
That's true too.
So you have to keep that in mind. I like Sony's and Panasonic's both. Let me put it that way.
Okay, is what I'm saying about the difference in quality, the difference of what I've seen between the Panasonic Plasma and the Sony LED make any sense, or am I just fooling myself?
No, I wouldn't say so. Some people find LCD TVs to look a little sharper. Because the pixels are very well defined. On a plasma, unless you crank down the contrast, the pixels are phosphors like the old CRTs, and they can actually bloom and kind of spread into each other a little bit.
Because this is an edge-lit LED.
Yes, all Sony TVs are edge-lit. That's correct.
Oh, they don't make any backlights anymore.
Oh, I take it back. All of Samsung's are edge-lit. Sony does make a couple of backlit TVs, which I prefer. If you're going to get an LED Sony, I would prefer to get an LED backlit model with a feature called local dimming, which reduces the brightness of the LEDs behind dark parts of the image and brightens it behind the brighter parts of the image. The HX929 is the top-of-the-line Sony. Are you interested? Let me ask you this. Are you interested in 3D?
3D doesn't really bother me. If it comes with it, that's great, but it's not necessary. What I'm more interested in, and I don't think I can do this, is I really like to keep it under 2,000 or 2,200 at the top end, and I don't think I can do a 929 for that.
Probably not. Well, not a 50 or 55 inch, probably not.
Right.
And that's the other thing I was going to mention about LED or LCD versus plasma. Plasmas are generally less expensive.
Oh, absolutely. The plasmas are some incredible deals. I just saw that Panasonic online that you were talking in your column, the TCP55 VT30.
Yeah.
21 and a half.
Yeah, list for $2,800.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the plasmas, those Panasonic plasmas are incredible deals.
Incredible deal.
Disappointed in my likes or dislikes of the picture, or maybe I'll just get used to it. That's the other thing, too.
Well, you know, it is some matter of personal preference. I personally prefer the look of plasma. I think it's a little smoother. And it doesn't have the other problems that LCDs do, which in terms of motion lag, in terms of off-axis performance. Now, if you're always going to be directly in front of the TV, that's not an issue. But if you're going to be off-axis, if you're going to be off to the side at all, then the performance of all LCDs, even this super-duper sharp Elite that we just reviewed, $6,000 for a 60-inch.
I saw that in your column. Wow.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But like all LCDs, it has the same problem with off-axis performance. Thanks so much for the call.
Can I stick around during the break?
Sure. No problem. Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
We were watching TV. Watching TV.
All right, Scott, you're on.
Kyle Benham is the best, man. He finds music. Who knows where he finds this music? It's astonishing. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek and online editor of hometheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now, before the break, I was talking with Mike in Maine, and I want to finish up with him real quick. Mike, are you with me?
I'm still here.
Okay, one more question.
The question is about sound.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of room for a sound system, so I've been looking at sound bars. And I've checked things around, and it seems like they work reasonably well. It's not like it's a perfect solution, but it's a decent solution, I guess.
Certainly for a bedroom it is, absolutely.
And I'm wondering what you recommend in terms of sound bars. I've seen some good things about Vizio, but I've also heard that a number of them, the best models seem to have an overheating problem that continues to go out in the reviews that I've read. And I'm wondering what to look for in a sound bar, and if you have any that you recommend, with or without a subwoofer, preferably with.
Preferably with, absolutely. I do agree with that. We haven't done a lot of soundbar reviews lately, but I'm certainly, I've got a couple actually out in the field with a reviewer. My friend Larry Ullman is doing them, and one of them is a Vizio. I believe it's the 215, I think that's the model number, and that does have a subwoofer. Generally speaking, I've been very pleased with Vizio subwoofers. He's also doing a Z-Vox, which doesn't have a separate subwoofer. The entire thing is in one box. I believe he told me that his preliminary impressions were pretty good on that as well.
Now, have you found that any of the Vizios were overheating? Because, again, the ones that I had read about, it seems like there was an LED light, and it goes bad, and they keep replacing them, and they keep going bad, and somebody finally installed their own fan in it, which I can't do, and it made it work just fine. And I didn't know if you had heard anything about that.
I haven't, actually, but I'm really glad you brought that to my attention, because I'm going to bring that to Larry's attention and see what he thinks about that. Maybe have him run it for a long period of time. And
they seem to go, in the reviews that I read, they seem to overheat within a month.
Well, that's one problem that I will tell you that we don't often get to do in reviews is run products for a long period of time to see if we encounter these kinds of problems. Another of these kinds of problems is with Panasonic plasmas. The last couple of years, they've had a reported problem of, as you get to the 1,000-hour mark and the 2,000-hour mark, the black levels start to rise. And
I remember you talking about that over a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Now, normally we don't get to keep and work a plasma for 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours, so we wouldn't normally detect that in our reviews. But we have run a couple of Panasonic plasmas. They've graciously let us hang on to them for a while. And we ran the G20, I believe, for at least 2,000 hours, maybe 2,500. And the black level only rose by 0.001, which is insignificant. And we've got now a VT25 and a VT30 that I think are at the 1,500-hour mark. And we haven't measured the black level lately. These are anecdotal results. Now, they're not statistical results. So, it may happen to some people and not to us. It's hard to say, but it is something that we are concerned about. But we don't often get to test because we don't keep products that long. So, anyway, generally speaking, sound bars I think are a good idea. I like Vizio generally. I hadn't heard this overheating problem, but I will look into it. Let's see. I'll have to do some research online to find some other suggestions for you, which I will certainly do.
That would be great. And the last thing I want to say, besides thank you so much, is that $15 to $20 investment that I made on Digital Video Essentials.
There you go.
The best DVD I ever bought, because it makes everything else work well. By investing that $15 to $20 and about an hour and a half to 2 hours, it makes everything so much better that I can't recommend anybody that buys a TV not buy that.
Yes, very good. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much, and thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see if we can get another call in here. Line 5. I'm still learning the buttons here. George in Glendale, California, right next door to my hometown. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Had a clever idea, at least I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I have a old house, but I have a closet that I'm not going to use. I was thinking about taking the door off the closet, putting a high-end home projector in there, with a short throw, and it would hit a translucent screen. In front of the translucent screen would be the audience.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic idea. It's a great idea.
Thanks. I don't know that much about translucent screens and the quality of them.
Yeah, well, this is what you're basically doing is setting up a rear projection TV. which is like the old RP TVs, rear projection TVs, that were these big boxes that sat in your room. But what you're doing is taking a projector, putting it behind that translucent screen so it's not taking up any floor real estate, which is great. Now, most projectors can do that, and the real expense is going to be in that translucent screen if you want a good quality one. That ain't cheap. Stewart makes a product, Stewart Film Screen, the preeminent screen manufacturer in our business and in professional and commercial theaters as well. They make a product called Star Glass, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's a translucent plastic, relatively thick. You install it in a wall, and you put a projector behind it, and you shine the projector onto the back of this, and it makes that area look like a big, giant, flat panel TV. It's a gorgeous solution. If you have room behind the screen, which you say you do, and you can get a short throw projector, that's exactly right. And as long as you install this Star Glass, it's going to be a beautiful image. I don't recall exactly how much Star Glass is. You go to stewartfilm.com is their website, and I doubt that they quote prices on their website. Very few manufacturers do, but it ain't cheap. I'll tell you that. It's pretty expensive. So you got to be prepared for that. There's at least one other company I know of whose name I can't recall at the moment, but Stewart is really the one to get. I would say if you're gonna go do it right, that's the way to go.
Fantastic. One last question: what's the shortest throw or beam throw I could probably expect reasonably?
Some companies make extreme short throw projectors for just this purpose. Digital Projection is one. Let me think who else. Sim2 would be another. But those are pretty expensive. You can probably get an Epson. Generally, in the low-cost projector range, I really like Epsons. They do a fantastic job, and they probably have a short throw version that would work for you. Depends on your budget, of course. Runco also has a super short throw model, but again, that's probably going to be pretty expensive. Runco is at the high end of things.
Fantastic.
All right.
Can't thank you enough for this.
All right. Thanks so much for the call. Okay, let's see. We've got Patrick in Fresno. Patrick, hey, welcome to the show. It's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek.
Morning, Scott. How are you?
Great, thanks.
My question actually goes to quality and the life of the product.
Okay.
I'm not a TV aficionado.
Okay.
I have a 42-inch rear projection LCD. I basically got it because it was 42 inches.
That's what could fit in your room, in other words?
No. At the time, it was on sale the day before Thanksgiving.
Ah,
so
yes.
It's a nice Panasonic. One reason why I went with it over the plasma, and I might be wrong on this.
Hold that thought, please. Hold that thought, please. It's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek, in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Okay, Scott, you're on.
Hey, welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. And I'm very excited in this segment of the show to introduce a very special guest, Michael Giacchino, the Emmy and Oscar-winning composer of scores for TV shows and films, such as Super 8, what we're hearing right now, as well as the J.J. Abrams reboot of Star Trek, Cars 2, TV shows Alias and Lost, and Up, for which he won not only the Oscar, but also a Golden Globe and 2 Grammy Awards. Hey, Michael, welcome so much to the show.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Boy, what an incredible string of hits you've had. Thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of great people on projects that I would have killed to have gone to the movie theater to see as a kid.
Yeah, well, you know, you've had quite the charmed career as it happens. You started scoring video games for Disney, right?
Yes, I actually started with Disney, and then when DreamWorks formed, I went over there, and that's kind of where I met Steven Spielberg, and I started working on the Medal of Honor series of video games. And that's really what got me into using bigger orchestras and all of that, because Steven was such a supporter of live musicians and live orchestra that, you know, in his mind, when we were doing these games, that was the only way it was going to be done, with live orchestra. So that really kind of got me started in a big way.
Well, I'm really, really glad to hear you say that you use live orchestra because, you know, I'm a musician myself, and I've bemoaned for years the decline of the use of live music in movies and TV shows. And so thank you so much for
absolutely. It's really sad. I mean, when you think about it, the stuff we grew up listening, even, you know, movies, yes, of course, they use live orchestras. But even television shows, when we were watching television shows as a kid, every show we watched, from Johnny Quest to Laverne and Shirley, you know, Dick Van Dyke, all of those things, they had live players performing all of the scores. And that, to me, was sort of this weird kind of induction into what a live musician does just by watching, you know? Yeah,
exactly. I appreciate still the Simpsons, and I think Family Guy still use full orchestras.
Yes, they do.
But very few other programs do.
Yeah, no, I think probably 99% of all shows on TV are probably synthesized, you know, which is really sad, because the kids growing up these days, that's what they're listening. So they're not really getting that sort of subliminal musical education that we all were fortunate enough to get just by watching these shows. Right, exactly right. Now, I was going to ask you, how is scoring for video games different than scoring for films and TV shows, or is it? No, it's not different at all for me. I mean, schedule might be different, budget might be a little different, but the actual process for me is the same. I'm always just writing for the story. I'm writing for what it is the subject matter is dealing with. And in my case, I did an awful lot of games about World War II, which I was absolutely fascinated by. I love history, so for me, it was a chance to delve into that history and recreate it musically, and I had such a great time doing that. Now, you say you wrote a lot of World War II stuff. Did you do some instrumentation appropriate to that time period? Sometimes, yes, we did. Sometimes it was more kind of, you know, if we were looking for a specific big band piece that was playing in the background, you go into a room and there's a radio playing. Oh, yeah. There were moments like that, which we did. But overall, it was just, you know, writing thematic music that was, in my imagination, the musical accompaniment to the story that was going on. You know, it's always about telling story. When you're writing music, you're always telling a story. So the stories we were telling were about this particular, you know, soldier going through his day-to-day routine and during World War II, which was pretty amazing. It was a great thing to be involved in. Yeah. Now, of course, you're also very deeply involved in TV and movies. You've worked a lot with J.J. Abrams. Yes, J.J. and I, we started a long time ago on Alias, you know, and Alias came about because J.J. listened to the soundtracks to the video games that I did. You know, he and his friend play video games, and that's how they heard my music. So they just called me up completely out of the blue and said, hey, you want to help us on this show, you know, and it was JJ's first time, you know, directing a show like that. And so I was like, sure, I'm happy to do it. So I did that, and we've been together ever since. And that Alias led us to Lost, which led us then to Mission Impossible, which led us then to Star Trek together. And then, of course, Super 8. And Super 8 is just come out recently on Blu-ray and DVD, right? Yes. Yep, just came out, and there's some really cool extras on there to see. It's pretty a fascinating film to get to learn about the making of. Well, I certainly enjoyed the movie. I went and saw it in the theaters, and good for you. Good. Yeah. So did you hear? I don't know if you heard me earlier in the show saying that I actually still like to go out to the movies. Yeah, it's an event, right? I mean, exactly. That communal experience of watching something with a group of people is an amazing experience, and I hope that never goes away, because to me, you know, we all watch movies at home as well now with all the technology we have available to us. But for me, nothing beats just actually going in, sitting in a theater with a packed crowd, and everyone experiencing that together. You know, the laugh, it's funny. It almost multiplies your emotional response by as many people are sitting there with you.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, because it's exactly true. And what you said earlier about storytelling is also really important. It's how I look at my job is to help people get the most out of the stories they want to experience at home.
Yes.
But also in the commercial cinema. I don't write that much about it other than my experiences in the commercial cinema. But, in the old...
I think of it like, I was just going to say, commercial cinema to me is the leaping off point for everything, right? Like, I love seeing it in a movie theater, and home is for me where I can then relive that experience on my own terms.
Yeah.
But for me, I always love first experiencing it there,
Yep. Now, let me ask you this. Of course, movie sound has evolved, and we went from mono to 2-channel to now surround sound. And as a composer, I was curious to know, how much music do you put in the surround channels when you mix a score for a movie or a TV show?
It depends. It depends on the scene itself, actually. It depends on the cue. There are some where we might push it a lot harder, and other times where we just want it to feel like you're actually sitting in the room, So the mics that we have are placed behind where, say, the conductor's podium is, so that you get the sense that you're standing where the conductor was standing. You can hear the sound that is bouncing off the walls behind you, and then you can hear the sound that is coming from the orchestra sitting right in front of you. So generally, that's how we set it up. But there are times where you have an idea, and you're, wouldn't it be cool if all the choir vocals came from behind you and things like that. So there are different creative things you can do with it, but it's all dependent on the story that you're trying to tell and what's going on screen.
Sure. And you mentioned, we were talking earlier about the use of live orchestra, which I'm so grateful for. But you must use music technology to some degree in your work, maybe as a sketch pad or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a way of being able to show the director what they're going to be hearing when they get to the stage to record it. It gives them a little preview. It's never going to sound as good as the real orchestra, but it's a great way just to give them a sketch, like you said, and show them and say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? And the way that I write, I have my sequencer set up almost as if it is score paper. So you have piccolos, flutes, and everything goes in order from piccolo down to double bass. So it's set up as it would be on a score. So I can kind of write and rough out all my orchestrations as I'm doing that.
Now, do you use any weirdo instruments like the ondes Martineau or?
Again, depending on. I remember on Star Trek we used a thing called an oud, which was
the sort of an Arabic, not quite a banjo, but a plucked stringed instrument.
Right, which we also used on Mission Impossible, but also on Star Trek an arhu, which was like kind of a Chinese violin, and it represented sort of the Vulcan race in the film. And so, you find, those instruments that can fit into the fabric of the orchestra and help tell your story even better, give a voice to the different personalities that are involved in the film.
Right, exactly right. So the projects coming up for you include Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which is about to be released, if it hasn't been already.
Any minute now. Which is Brad Bird's first live-action film, and he did an amazing job. And I implore you, when you see it in IMAX first. You will not be disappointed. That's the way it should be experienced first.
Now, is it in 3D?
No, it is not in 3D. So, but they shot a lot of it in IMAX, so there's good reason to go there and see it in its native format. Exactly, as it was intended to be shown.
Excellent. And then there's also John Carter of Mars coming up.
That's right. Yes, I know. I'm sitting here right now at the Warner Brothers Eastwood scoring stage. You can see behind me here, and we're mixing today. So we had our final 2 days of scoring this week, and now we're just doing our mixes for it.
Fantastic.
And it's a really cool movie.
I'm sure looking forward to it. That's Michael Giacchino. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
All right, Scott, you're on.
Well, hey, welcome. Come on in. The tech is fine. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, and online editor of HomeTheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's off in Paris, France, attending Le Web, a conference about what else? Le Web. And he's left me back at home to answer your home theater questions, which I'm very grateful to be able to do and have the opportunity. So thanks, Leo. I'm going to get right back to the phones this hour, and I'm going to start with Cameron in Upland, California. Hey, Cameron, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hey, Scott. I got a quick question. Hopefully, I won't take up too much time.
Go for it.
I built a man cave in my garage this summer.
Oh yeah.
And we got a brand new 47-inch flat screen Samsung TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my Xbox hooked up to my old TV that we had. It's like 10 years old. It's like a JVC or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I hooked my Xbox up to my new flat screen, and it just lags. Like every time I play my man, every time I try to move him around, he'll go too far when I stop. And I tried the controllers. I tried out my other TV, and it works fine. So I don't know.
Now,
what the problem is.
Are you connected by HDMI in both cases?
Yeah.
So the old 10-year-old JVC has an HDMI input.
No, not the JVC, not the JVC, not in both cases, just the Samsung.
Huh.
I'm not hooked up to HDMI in here, but I tried the regular connection in my garage on my Samsung, and it still lags. So.
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure I know the answer because Xbox, if it's working on the JVC, and you're using a component connection from the Xbox to the JVC?
Yeah.
So three wires, the red, green, and blue wires?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's not showing a lag. Now, have you connected the Xbox to the Samsung with component?
I use component on the Samsung, and it lags, too.
Oh, and it still lags. Okay, well, then that sounds like a problem in the Samsung. What's the model number of the Samsung?
Yeah, do you know what the model number? I'm trying to think.
Is it a plasma or an LCD?
Do you know what the model number of our Samsung is?
That's okay. Is it a plasma or an LCD?
It's an LCD.
An LCD. Boy, it should not have that big a lag. How long a lag is it? Is it like milliseconds or half a second or?
It's like half a second. Like
wow.
I move my guy. I tried the controllers and everything. The controllers are fine. I move my guy, and I stop moving him, and he still moves like half the way of the screen.
Oh wow. Now, I guess I would suggest the following. To determine whether or not the Samsung LED might be at fault, it's pretty easy to take your Xbox over to somebody else's house and try it on another set and see if you have the same problem. If you do, then boy, that's a mystery for sure. If you don't, then the Samsung is clearly interacting with the Xbox in some weird way. Perhaps it's faulty. Have you watched regular TV on it as well?
The regular TV is fine.
It's fine. Okay. So it's something with the Xbox that I must admit I don't know. Let's see if the chat room... in fact, I should be looking at the chat room right away because the chat room, as Leo calls them, is his brain. And Connex and Pokesomi both say, have him look for game mode in the Samsung. So the Samsung has several what are called picture modes.
Oh, okay.
And one of them should be called game.
Okay.
And that might solve the problem. By golly, the chat room has probably come through.
Wow. Yeah. I wouldn't. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for calling.
It works out.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go right to Rob in Tarzana. You're on with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Hey, Rob.
Hello, Scott. Love your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love listening to you.
Thanks.
A few months ago, we bought a 55-inch LED TV made by LG.
Mm-hmm.
We're thrilled. We actually bought a pair of them, and we're thrilled with them.
They make a great TV. I agree.
Yeah, it was even better than I expected. But
fantastic.
I have a couple of questions of the nature of LED TVs.
Mm-hmm.
First, how safe is it for my son to sit close to the TV, number one, in terms of any radiation, or number two, with regard to risk to his eyesight?
Well, hopefully Dr. Mom is in the chat room. She might be able to speak to the eyesight issue. Certainly sitting too, I mean, you know, you probably remember, I certainly remember my mom saying, don't sit too close to the TV. You'll ruin your eyes. Well, my eyes are pretty bad, but I don't think it was because I sat too close to the TV. That is to say my eyes need correction. They're not bad, but in any event, it's probably not a good idea to sit real close to the TV. You know, just I don't think there's any problem with radiation. Let me start there. You asked about radiation with an LED TV. You know, there might be some electromagnetic radiation coming off the TV because there's all these circuits that are being activated all the time. So that, but that's not really a serious problem in my opinion. And there certainly isn't any other kind of radiation coming off that TV. Not only that, but LED TVs generate a lot less heat than plasmas, which is one point I wanted to make about the difference between the two. So, you know, that's not going to be really a factor. In terms of eyesight, I would guess, it looks like Dr. Mom isn't in the chat room. Dr. Morbius says, no worse than reading a book close to your face. So, you know, I wouldn't want the kid to be too close to the TV, not because of radiation. You know, it's just something that I wouldn't want to do. I doubt that there's any real harm that could be done. But I wouldn't want my kid to get in the habit of doing that, just perhaps because of some eye thing or something. You'd want them to get used to watching the TV at the right distance and seeing the whole picture. You get up too close, you see all those pixels. Now, I suppose a tiny little kid wouldn't matter; they wouldn't care. But I wouldn't worry about it.
What about okay? Thank you. And what about regarding usage of the TV? If my son leaves the room for 20 minutes. Will he use less energy by turning the TV off and then powering it back on when he returns, or should he simply leave the TV on?
This is a good question. In the case of a plasma, I would say turn it off if you're going to be gone for more than half an hour or an hour. With an LED, LCD, I wouldn't worry about it. For one thing, they draw a lot less power than plasma, yet another difference between the two. And so, you know, you're drawing negligible power. And so and in terms of turning it on and off, LEDs do wear out eventually, but plasmas and LEDs are both rated at 60,000 hours, something like that, or 100,000 hours. So, you know, you're not going to have any problems there. With your LED TV for 20 minutes or half an hour, I wouldn't keep turning it on and off all the time. I'd leave it on.
There's always the risk of something happening to the power switch if you turn it on and off all the time too.
Well, I suppose, yeah, but and people do get really obsessive about this, and they turn it off and they turn it on if they're gone for 5 minutes, and I certainly wouldn't do that.
Okay.
You know, by the way, iDoc Mark is in the chat room, and he says 6 feet or further back. And so, iDoc Mark, when you get a chance to let us know why that is true, then I would love to know. So when he comes back on and lets us know, I'll pass that along. Thanks so much for the call.
Thanks.
Okay, that sounds like my cue. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear. Are you done with line 3?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Scott, you're on.
How does Kyle do it? Where does he find these great tunes? Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek and online editor of HomeTheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte as he enjoys his time in Paris, France at Le Web. Let's get right back to the phones, and I've got PJ in Gardena. Hey, PJ, welcome to the show.
Hello, how you doing, Scott?
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I have a question. I used to repair televisions in the old days.
It's very different.
CRT tube days.
Yeah, the old CRT days. Things are much different now, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, a friend of mine, kid busted his inner glass on this, I think it's a Samsung 42-inch or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there a way to repair that on your own?
No, I don't think so. Not something I would do.
I see. Even if you're experienced repair person?
Yeah, you're experienced at CRTs, right? LCDs are a different animal altogether.
A little different, huh?
They are not made to be opened by, now if you were still a repair guy and you knew how to get into the newer flat panels, then I would say, sure, go for it. But unless you have the training and the experience to work on these flat panels, I wouldn't try it myself.
Where would you get the actual replacement glass for that?
Well,
you'd order it from the manufacturer, I guess.
Exactly right. Yeah, you'd have to order from Samsung, and they probably wouldn't send it to you or sell it to you unless you were an authorized tech center.
Authorized center, yes.
Right, so
it would probably cost as much as a new television anyway, wouldn't it?
I would think so, yes. You said 42-inch?
40, maybe 40.
42 or 47, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth fixing, got to tell you. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Nice seeing you again.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking at you at the on the TWiT also.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful. Yes, those of you who care to log on to twit.tv, you can watch the live video stream of me sitting here in Leo's studio at his...
In living color.
Yeah. And in living color. Yes, indeed. Thanks so much for the call.
Hey, you're welcome.
Okay, so I've got Steve in Ohio. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Scott, nice to talk to you again. It's been a few years, but...
Well, always happy to talk to you.
Well, last week I heard you and Leo talking about hooking up the surround sound and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done it over the air. Didn't have cable or satellite or none of that stuff. Now we just moved. I'm going to be hooking everything up and got satellite. Is there anything special I need to do? Because I thought I heard y'all say something about having to get the sound from the satellite down to the surround sound, you had to do something different.
I'm not
doing it in a Yamaha tuner.
Yamaha receiver?
Yeah, Yamaha receiver. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure I remember what you're talking about exactly there. I do know...
I might have misunderstood.
Okay.
I didn't know to do that.
Well, basically you're going to have somebody come out and install the satellite dish, right?
Well, it's already installed. The TV's hooked up. It's just, I'm a truck driver. I got home for Thanksgiving. Had to get the dang furnace repaired. I screwed that up.
Oh, man.
But trying to do simple things, and I done screwed it up.
Yeah.
Didn't have time to hook it up, but I'm going home for almost 2 weeks for Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have a coaxial cable from the dish down to the satellite receiver, which is presumably nearby your audio-video receiver and your sound system and so on.
Right.
So then does your satellite receiver have HDMI out?
I believe it does, because I think that's how they got it hooked up to the TV.
Okay, do they have it hooked up directly to the TV?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Now, does your AV receiver, your surround sound receiver, have HDMI inputs?
That's a good question.
Because if it does...
I bought it about 2 years ago. Almost 3 years ago.
It probably does. Unless it's a super cheapie, it probably does.
No, it was on sale. I got it for a really good price. That's why I bought it. And
sure.
Got a bunch of stuff on the back.
Well, yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I prefer to run my components into the AV receiver. So I would take the HDMI out from the satellite box and put it into the receiver, and then take the HDMI out from the receiver and put that to your TV. Now, do you have a surround sound speaker system?
Yes, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this is all piecemeal. I bought a great big old sub from the pawn shop. It works awesome.
Great.
And but it's all piecemeal, and I'm not even thinking about hooking up the rear speakers.
Oh, well, okay. One thing I do say all the time is you mentioned that your speaker system is piecemeal, and that could be a problem because If you have different...
I've used them before with the receiver. I've used all the speakers with it, and it works great.
Okay, well, if it works great for you, then fine. No problem at all. I would, as I said, take the HDMI out of the receiver, the satellite box, put that into the receiver, the AV receiver, which will then feed your speakers, and take the HDMI out from the receiver, take that to your TV. That way, if you have any other source devices like a DVD player or a Blu-ray player or a game box or anything else, you can easily switch the receiver to whichever device you want to watch and listen to. If you do it the way the satellite company did, then you're going to have to switch your TV as well as your AV receiver. It's more complicated. So that's why I generally recommend.
I ran everything through that before, the DVD, the Xbox, and all that stuff.
Yeah. You put all that through the AV receiver, and you're golden. Everything's fine.
Okay. And one other quick question. I've noticed on my TV that in one spot, it gets about when you first fire the thing up, it's a LED TV, Westinghouse. It's an older model.
Okay.
It has one spot about the size of a dinner plate. It stays darker than the rest of the screen.
Ooh. LED edge-lit, probably. You might not know.
About 4 years, almost 5 years old.
Yeah, I would guess that. Is it really, really thin?
No, not really. It's actually kind of thick.
Oh, well, it might be LED backlit. If it is, I'd be surprised if it was, to tell you the truth, because Westinghouse is an inexpensive brand, and LED backlighting is more expensive. But if it is, then those LEDs back there could be kind of giving up the ghost.
That's what I kind of figured.
Yeah, and again, like the last caller, trying to repair that yourself, I wouldn't do it at all.
No, I'm not. If I'm going to do anything, I'll upgrade to a newer TV and just back to another 42-inch because that's what fits in the spot.
There you go. All right, thanks so much for the call.
I thank you very much, Scott. You have a Merry Christmas, sir.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go right here to Ken in Chicago, Illinois. Hey, Ken, welcome to the show. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek.
Hey, Scott, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Question for you. I've got a Panasonic 50-inch plasma display. It's about 4 years old.
Okay.
And I think for the last year or so, I will periodically get a bar that's about 3 inches wide that'll come down on one side of the screen.
I hope you'll hold on to that thought. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good work, Claire.
So I was talking with, who was I talking with just before the break there? Ken in Chicago, I believe. Are you still with me? Is Ken still with me? Do I have to hit this button?
Yeah, line 2.
Line 2. I have to hit that button again. Ken, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So as I was saying, I've got a 50-inch plasma that's about 4 years old. For the last year or so, I occasionally get about a 3-inch wide strip that you can see through that's black that will come down from the top on the right side of the screen. It'll happen occasionally for a couple of days, and then it may go away for 2-3 weeks. And it happens when I'm watching my DirecTV or if I'm watching a Blu-ray, and I've got separate HDMI cables going to it, so I know that it is, in fact, a television.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that, or any thoughts on how to diagnose what that issue is?
No, I have never seen that myself. You're saying that there's a black stripe that goes down vertically?
Vertically comes down about a third to a half of the way down the screen, and it's about 3 inches wide.
And is it right in the middle or off to one side?
No, it's on the right side of the screen only, about 3 inches wide.
And is it always in the same place?
Yes, always the same exact place.
Sounds like something's funky with that TV, I'm afraid. And it's probably out of warranty too. So.
Oh, yeah, no question. I mean, it's been a great set and everything, but again, it's only about 4 years old.
Yeah, sorry, I can't help you. That sounds like a fault in the TV.
Let me ask you one other question. My girlfriend has LCD, backlit LED, Samsung, puts out a great TV, and I think you were mentioning this during a break a little earlier. It's great for watching regular TV, but when you watch movies, it's got that soap opera look where it looks like it's your video.
Yep.
I personally don't like it. Is there a setting on the TV that you know of?
You bet. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You go into the picture menu. I have to remember now specifically, but it's called, I'm pretty sure it's called Auto Motion Plus. That is the parameter in the menu system that you go in there, you turn that off. And then what the TV is going to do is it's just going to repeat frames, each frame of the video, instead of creating and generating new frames of its own. And that's going to eliminate the soap opera effect, but it's also going to make motion look blurrier.
Okay.
So,
but it's going to make, something that was shot in film, it's going to make it look more like
film. Yes.
Video.
Yep.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. Let's, I had to, by the way, I had to let you know that iDoc Mark in the chat room, we were talking earlier about sitting too close to the TV, and he recommended sitting 6 feet away or so at least, and that has to do with focus and accommodation, according to iDoc Mark, and I think that's a very good point that I didn't make before, and I wanted to make sure to slip that in here. Okay, now I'm going to talk to Diane in Massachusetts. Hey, Diane, welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. I am fairly new to Blu-ray. I have a Samsung D5700ZA.
An excellent player.
And I love it. And suddenly, some of my Blu-rays are not playing.
Did they play before?
Yes, they did.
Mm.
And if it's a Disney movie, I get what's called the frozen castle screen.
Uh-oh, the frozen screen of the castle.
And then some other Blu-rays are just showing a black screen, and disc menu, title menu selections just give a not available error message. So these Blu-rays are coming from a variety of studios and manufacturers,
mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking that what's the same in all these pictures is Samsung. And I have the latest software and firmware.
Well, that was going to be my first question. Yeah, because let me tell everybody out there that very often Blu-ray players get regular firmware updates, and you need to connect them to the internet with the Ethernet jack on the back. Connect them to your router and your high-speed internet connection, and go into the menu system, and it'll probably say software update, and you say yes, and you do it. Because as Blu-rays come out with new features and so on, sometimes the firmware in a Blu-ray player won't be able to handle it. But your problem is different because you have titles that used to work and now don't.
Yes.
So, do you have kids at home? Do they scratch up these discs?
Oh, no. It's just me. I just have kiddish taste.
Uh-huh.
But
okay, well, I was just going to say that's another problem that does occur.
Right.
If you scratch up those discs, then they can cause problems such as you're describing. But you don't do that, so that's not the problem.
It's only me. And I'm not scratching them. I'm very careful.
You're very careful with them, as I am too. Okay, all right. Well,
and, I had a kind of unpleasant live chat with someone at Samsung the other day, and basically saying, "Where did you get these Blu-rays? Where did you get them?" And I'm like, I buy them in Target or Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your standard channels. And he was kind of implying that I was trying to play something that was somehow pirated, which is not the case.
No.
It's been very frustrating.
Well, I'm really sorry about that. It does sound like the player has kind of gone off the deep end a little bit.
Oh, you think it might be the player?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if, again, the one way to know for sure is, do you have a neighbor or friend who has a Blu-ray player? You might take these discs over to their place, give them a try, and see if they work there. If they do, then it's clearly the player. If they don't, then, maybe you got a fingerprint on them by mistake. There shouldn't be a problem with fingerprints. Blu-rays are pretty resistant to fingerprints, not necessarily to scratches, big scratches anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also playing other Blu-rays. It's not universally true. So my entire Star Wars series is playing, which is wonderful, but my entire Lord of the Rings collection is not
I'm
playing.
so sorry. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're on.
Hey, welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte. And the music you're listening to right now is my wife, Joanna Kasdan, from the album she and I recorded over 10 years ago now. And if you hear any trombone in there, I think it's coming up now. That's me. I thought this piece would be particularly appropriate because the lyrics do talk also about homeless tent cities in L.A., which reminded me somewhat of the Occupy L.A. movement. So thanks, Kyle, for playing my music here in this little break. Thank you so much. Okay, DR Wiggs Danny Boy says, nice, thank you so much. I was glad to be able to hear a little bit of that myself. While we were on break, we were talking in the chat room about Samsung Blu-ray players, and I was reminded that there are quite a few problems reported with them lately. Once again, as I talked about in the last hour, in reviews, we often don't get to try products for very long, so we don't have an opportunity to see if they fail within the first year or two of use. But I have heard more complaints, more reports of problems with Samsung Blu-ray players than I have with others lately. Disney apparently also, I'm noticing in the chat room, has reported some problems with Samsung players in particular. And I know that that last caller was talking about Disney titles in some cases, but also Star Wars, which and the thing that makes me suspicious about her call was that she was playing titles of discs that used to work and now don't. So that indicates to me that something went wrong in the Samsung. She had her latest firmware update, so that wasn't the problem. Anyway, let's see. I know that Zivian in I can't tell where has been waiting a while. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm from Illinois.
Illinois.
And I know. Yeah, and I know that you do home theater, but my question is a little different.
Okay.
I am really looking to buy a CD player for my son. He's autistic, and he loves music.
Oh.
But I'm also looking for a good pair of earbuds to go with it. And I don't know what to get. I am not electronically knowledgeable at all.
Well, that's
and
fine.
being honest.
Oh, that's great. No, that's totally fine. Totally fine. CD players, you're right. I don't spend a lot of time with them, but given that your son is autistic, you'd either want a really inexpensive one. I don't know how well he treats his objects. You know, would they get thrown around a lot?
Well, let me tell you, if it's electronic, and that's the thing, he loves computers, and I don't know why, but he's very good on them. And he loves Leo Laporte, he listens all the time.
Great.
He treats his electronics excellent.
Very good.
Very good.
Well, I'm thinking about a portable CD player.
Okay.
That he could have with him basically anywhere he goes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Now, an alternative to that would be something like an iPod or an MP3 player that he could download stuff. See, the problem with CD, especially a portable one, is that it's a physical medium. It's a disc, a 5-inch diameter disc that you stick in this player and it spins, and there's lots of moving parts.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, as we've been talking about on this show a little bit, things with moving parts can fail. Well, things without moving parts can fail too. But it seems to me, especially if he's really into computers, if he can, go get onto iTunes or one of the other sources of MP3s or other audio files,
Yeah, he can do that.
Well, then I'd say instead of a CD player, I'd say get an MP3 player, a little portable MP3 player, like an iPod or Zune, I guess. I'm totally a Mac guy and an Apple guy, so I don't know the Windows architecture that much. But a little MP3 player should, I think, be a better solution than a CD player. Now, as far as earbuds... Sorry?
Do you know which one you recommend?
Well, as I say, I'm an Apple guy, so I like iPod.
iPod, okay.
And the iPod Nano is a small, little, almost slightly bigger than a postage stamp. Would be a good point. Mrs. Scott, my wife, is in the chat room, and she suggests the Nano Shuffle, which is even smaller. It's a tiny, tiny little thing that you could slip in your pocket. The Nano you can as well. And Amazon MP3 is a great place to buy, according to Uncle Bick in the chat room.
Oh, great.
So there you go. And that would be the way to go. I think that's much better than a CD player. And as far as earbuds are concerned, most of these little MP3 players will come with earbuds. Or if you wanted to get better ones, the place to go for recommendations there is our sibling site, innerfidelity.com, which is all about headphones and earphones and stuff like that. And the editor there, Tyle Hertzens, really knows his stuff about headphones and writes a lot about it. So I would go there to get good recommendations if you want to upgrade from the earbuds that come with the player.
Okay, well, first I'm gonna go check this Nano Shuffle out, like your wife said.
Excellent.
And go from there. And I appreciate that very much, and happy holidays to y'all.
Thanks so much. Happy holidays to you, too.
Okay.
Now, my wife, Mrs. Scott, in the chat room, has pointed out to the woman with the autistic child that he might want to pick out his own earbuds because autistic folks typically are very sensitive to what's touching them. And so I suggest that she go and take her son to a store that actually has some and let him try them because certainly she does not want him to be uncomfortable with the earphones in his ears. We just got a little bit of time left in this hour, so I'm going to quickly talk to Bob in Apple Valley. Hey, Bob. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Scott, I have a Samsung 67-inch rear projector DLP TV, and I'd like to get another rear projector because I've been very satisfied with this one, but I don't see any in the stores anymore.
No, you won't, because there's only one company left in the world that makes rear projection TVs, and that's Mitsubishi. So you will see Mitsubishis in some stores.
Oh, okay.
They're the only company left. Everyone else has gone to flat panels.
Completely?
Completely.
Well, it's amazing because this thing has been a phenomenal television. I'm totally delighted with it.
They're great, and they're great values, too. These days, they're very inexpensive compared to flat panels. For the size of screen you get, you said you had a 60-inch?
67.
Yeah, and you can go up to, I think Mitsubishi goes up to 92 inches.
Okay,
so that's the only one you're going to find. Hey, thanks so much for the call. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
We're going to be back with the Tech Guy Show in just a little bit. I want to thank Scott Wilkinson for filling in for me, but I wanted to show you, we talk all the time about Stamps.com and their amazing no-risk trial offer, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I actually got the no-risk trial offer, which is the $110 bonus offer, the digital scale, the $55 free postage, and show you what you get when you sign up today at Stamps.com. First, let me explain what Stamps.com is. Stamps.com is actually really cool for small businesses or anybody who does a lot of mailing. It lets you print official U.S. postage from your computer with your printer, no special ink, no special anything, just Stamps.com. You always have the right postage. You don't have to go to the post office even to drop off packages because the post office will come to you. You can either give it to your mail carrier on their regular route, or you can call the post office. They come and get it. They want your business. And normally there's a limit on anything bigger than 13 ounces. You have to go to the post office. Not with Stamps.com. Because of the Stamps.com special postage, any package, you can have him pick it up at your house. Postcards, letters, packages, all the postage you need from Stamps.com. And let me show you, this is the deal. If you go to Stamps.com right now, click the Try It Free button and use the promo code TechGuy, you're going to get this trial offer. This is, we literally got it. It came in the mail today. So here it is. You're going to get the $110 bonus offer. This is their package. It says, mail, ship, relax, Stamps.com at your service. This is their welcome kit. So here's the software. Makes it very easy. Mac or PC, and I like that. You can do it on the web. You also get this 20% off coupon for everything in the Stamps.com store. You get pre-printed, ready-to-go stamps and labels, and inside here is the USB scale. Now this is really great because it hooks up to your computer, and the Stamps.com software uses it to always have exactly the right postage, because the scale is actually, so get this open here, the scale is actually talking to the software directly. So you just flip, it couldn't be faster to actually, in fact the next ad I'll do this, mail, stamp and mail the postage, because you just put the package on the scale. It's a nice heavy duty scale, by the way. And it communicates with the software via USB, and you know exactly what it weighs. So there's the scale. You put that on your desk, you plug this into the computer, we've got the Stamps.com software, and you're ready to go. It's pretty cool, I gotta say. And all of this is free, including $55 free postage. You know, we have a lot of free trial offers on the show. I don't think there's a nicer or richer free trial offer than this from Stamps.com. $55 free postage, an electronic scale. You're ready for the holidays with Stamps.com, your whole Christmas card list. This will pay for your Christmas card list. There it is. We'll plug that into the computer. We'll run the Stamps.com software. We're ready to go. Stamps.com. Go there right now. Use the offer code TechGuy for this $110 bonus offer. That's a great deal from Stamps.com. You don't have to wait in line this holiday season. Just use Stamps.com. All right, we continue back now with the Tech Guy program.
You're on.
Well, hey, welcome back. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, also the online editor of HomeTheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who is enjoying himself, no doubt, way over in Paris, France, attending the Web conference, talking about what else? Le Web, and what it means to Europe, I'm sure. I sure hope the Eurozone doesn't collapse while he's there. Anyway, while he's gone, he has asked me to sit in for him on the radio show, which I am pleased and honored and gratified to do. We've been talking all about home theater stuff since I am the home theater geek. And I will remind you that I also have a podcast on the TWiT network called, naturally enough, Home Theater Geeks. It records on Mondays from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. And each week I have a different guest on to talk about various aspects of home theater. This week, coming up on Monday, my guest will be Tyle Hertzens, the editor of a sibling site, which is in the same company as mine, HomeTheater.com. His is InnerFidelity.com. And he talks all about headphones. We were talking a little last hour about headphones and earbuds and stuff. And so he reviews headphones and other personal audio devices. And he's just finishing an article that we're going to talk about on Monday called Celebrity Headphone Deathmatch. Lots of celebrities are now lending their names to headphones, from Monster, which I believe is Dr. Dre, and a bunch of others that have their name attached to headphones and earbuds and so on. And he has been working very hard on a face-off between all these different earbuds and headphones to see if any of them actually work well. So we're going to get an early sneak peek at the results of that testing that he's been doing on Monday on Home Theater Geeks. So you can watch live, of course, at TWiT.tv. Or you can get it later as a podcast from iTunes or on twit.tv/hometheatergeeks or on my website, hometheater.com. So we're here in the last hour of Saturday, and it's been going really, really well. I'm enjoying talking to everyone on the phone and joining me in the chat room, of course. We've got... 745 people in the chat room, and I certainly invite you, the listening audience, to check that out. It's very family-friendly. We got moderators in there keeping it clean, as it were, and lots of good advice, in fact. Lots of answers have come up to questions that I didn't know the answer to. So, as Leo Laporte calls them, his brain. And today and tomorrow they will be my brain, and I thank them so very much for all of their great help during this time when I get the great privilege of sitting in for the amazing Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm going to go right back to the phones here and talk to... let's see, I got to figure out which button to push, of course. Line 4, Lori in Durango.
Yes, hi.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I got you today.
I pushed the right button.
You got it, yes. I'm looking for a digital media player to play all of photographs and home videos on my TV, to get them off my computer. I also need one that's user-friendly for my mother. I'd like wireless and internal storage. Do you have any recommendations?
Well, what about the possibility of drawing that information from your computer over your home network into your home theater rather than having it stored locally?
Well, the reason that I can't do that for my mother is because their computers and their network is not very dependable. For some reason, they always have problems with their network. So I want the network capability, wireless network capability, but inevitably for them, it would be better off to have, even if they plugged a USB drive or hard drive up to via USB, they would have better luck, I think, doing that. But I don't know. I'm new to figuring this stuff out, so I was hoping possibly you could help me with one. I think I purchased a Western Digital, but it wasn't wireless, and I've got a new one that is called Uvo or something like that.
Don't recognize that name.
Funny spelling, but is there a better brand out there before I open the box on this one?
Well, Western Digital is very highly regarded as a media hub. The chat room is saying also Linksys possibly would be a good brand to look at. I really like the Roku, but that doesn't have any onboard storage.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. So
does the Roku have USB capability or even HDMI, if they could go through HDMI? I don't know what the Roku has.
Well, the Roku certainly has an HDMI output to send to your TV.
Okay.
But it's mostly for streaming online content. So if you're looking for something to do home movies and photos and that sort of thing, is that what I understand correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, if they can't use their network and the stuff that's on their computer, I don't know, maybe an iPod? Jetta Joey in the chat room is saying a Boxy Box from D-Link has an SD slot. That would be another thing I was going to suggest, actually. Panasonic Blu-ray players have an SD slot, and you could put some stuff on an SD card and stick it into that slot. And
well, what they've got, they probably have 50 VHS tapes that they're transferring on, and all of our family home videos, and they're transferring them onto their computer as we speak. And so I don't think that the SD is going to really help me out much
Yeah,
there.
it may not have enough storage. Someone in the chat room is saying the Western Digital TV Live has an internal hard drive. I didn't know that. So
okay.
if that's the case, then that's...
Digital TV Live?
It's called TV Live, yeah, Western Digital, WD TV Live. And if that's true, if it has a hard drive in it, then you're golden. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So this UVO, or I think it's called UVO, has a 2 terabyte. You can upgrade to a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Well, that should be enough for 50
internal storage. I would think that would be enough. Yeah. But I'll check out the Western Digital TV Live.
Actually,
online right now.
Yeah, Beatmaster is actually saying Western WTV Live Hub. So you have to add that into the name of the product. I think there's a Western Digital Live and then a TV Live, and there's also a Western Digital Live TV Live Hub, and the hub would be the one with the hard drive.
Okay, perfect. I'll look it up right now.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, let's move on to Jay in North Carolina. You're on the Tech Guy Show with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hey, Scott, I figured I would check in and see if you could help me. I'm looking, surprisingly enough, for another TV. And I'm thinking, though, that just to be brief, or I'll try to be brief, I can get by with a 32-inch, as low as 32 inches. That's if the quality is pretty high, like if it's a 1080p. I kind of think that I'll be content with that, and I'm wondering...
Hold that thought. We'll get right back to you after the break. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Well, I hope you're enjoying Scott Wilkinson on the Tech Guy. I came back all the way from Paris just to tell you about my Epson printer. That's how much I love my Epson Workforce Pro printer, the world's fastest two-sided printing. It works with your iOS devices. You just print right over the Wi-Fi. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got Ethernet, it's got you can USB. You can connect to this printer anyway. It's an all-in-one, so it means faxing, high-speed, automatic two-sided color printing, copying, scanning. Keeps your business running at full speed. I mean, I think this would be the perfect gift for your business. Stuff it in the stocking. No, it's probably too big for the stocking. Put it under the tree for your business. You're going to love this thing. 580 sheets in the feeders, more than a ream of paper, so you don't have to constantly go back to the printer and feed it. You should see the cartridges. They're giant. It means they hold a lot of ink, and because they hold a lot of ink, the Workforce Pro is really economical. The ink cartridges will save you 50% per page versus color laser. You also save by double-sided printing, and I think double-sided printing looks better, too. In fact, we got to start doing that. We're printing only on one side. That's wasteful. We're throwing away paper like that. The Workforce Pro, using the mobile apps on tablets, is fast and easy. iOS 5 has it built in. I could just go on and on. I just want you to check it out. Go to Epson.com this holiday season and give your business the gift of great printing. Epson.com and tell them, I want to see the Workforce Pro. The 4540 is the specific page that we like. For the 4540. Actually, you know, I have, you can't put this, can you put in a picture? Okay, so put in a picture of the 4540. Like that. They're amazing. The Epson Workforce Pro. Thank you, Epson.com, for supporting our Tech Guy podcast.
I wish nothing but the best of you.
All right, Scott, you're on.
Hey, welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek and online editor of hometheater.com, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And just before the break, we had a call just began, and I want to definitely finish that one because it's got some great issues to talk about there. Jay in North Carolina, you back with me?
Yes.
Excellent. So you're looking for a 32-inch TV. My first question for you is, can you go any bigger?
I can. I guess I'm just kind of I'm concerned about the space. It's a small room that I'm figuring on using it in, so it's my understanding that I can only sit that I really need to sit back pretty far to take advantage of a 40 or bigger.
Well, that's a misconception that a lot of people have. A 40 or bigger, the ideal seating distance, if I recall correctly, is probably on the order of 5 or 6 feet.
Okay.
So it's not very far. People generally buy a TV that's too small for their seating distance.
Okay.
So now you might have a piece of furniture or something that the TV's got to fit into, and that will definitely restrict you. But if you have just a flat surface on which you can place the TV, I would definitely go bigger than 32.
Okay. So you think maybe 40, somewhere along in there? Because I'm not trying to spend an awful lot, but at the same time, I don't want to be disappointed long term.
Sure. Well, that's exactly the point that I'm making. A lot of people think, oh, I don't need a TV bigger than X, and then they get home and they go, oh man, I wish I had gotten a bigger TV. So I'm saying, well, let me ask you this: Do you have a space restriction, or can you just place a TV on top of a surface?
I can. Well, it's not a hard and fast space restriction. I guess just the concern is that since the house has smaller rooms, and I don't really envision being able to clear out enough stuff anytime soon to just kind of give it its own special room.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Well, I'm still saying if you can go bigger, that would be better. Now, the issue of 1080p has been coming up a lot in the chat room, and I think you might have mentioned that as well, wondering if a 32-inch TV, if you need 1080p.
I'm certainly curious.
Yeah, well, there's a school of thought that says on a TV that small, you're not going to see the difference between 1080p, which is 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels high, versus 720p, which is 1280 pixels across by 720 down. At that size, and probably at the distance you're sitting, your visual acuity won't be able to tell the difference. And that is true. However, I will say this also, that most high-def content is 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. And if you send that content to a 720p TV, the TV has to scale it. It has to remove quite a few of those pixels. And that's a process called scaling. And that can lead to visible artifacts, such as a softening of the picture, jaggedy diagonal edges on things. So while you can't really tell the difference between 1080p and 720p on a screen that size at a normal seating distance, in terms of visual acuity, you might very well be able to see scaling artifacts depending upon how good the scaler is in the TV. Which is why I always recommend getting a 1080p set, no matter how small, in order to avoid those scaling artifacts. Now, some broadcast stations do broadcast in 720p. ABC, Fox, ESPN come to mind. And those must be scaled up on a 1080p TV. However, they are in the minority. And Blu-ray certainly is virtually all 1080p. So that's why I recommend getting a 1080p, even if you can't theoretically see the difference in terms of visual acuity. Now, and then I will say, get a larger TV if you can. What is your seating distance?
I'm going to say, typically, I like to stay within 6 feet.
Okay, so you could easily go with a 42, or even a 46 or 47. And what is your budget?
I could probably go 700, so that's probably going to restrict me quite a bit.
Well, somewhat, but not as much as you might think. As I mentioned in the opening hour, quality is going up and prices are going down, especially on TVs. So if you go into a Best Buy or a Target or something like that, you're going to find even 50 and 55-inch TVs for under $1,000, well under $1,000. The Panasonic TCP 50S30 lists for $1,000, and it's available a lot of places for hundreds less. So you could get a 50-inch plasma, and a really good one too, for $600-700.
Oh, okay. And I was going to say, if I didn't mention before, I can even wait until after Christmas. So my guess is that I'm in good shape.
Well, you are in good shape, but certainly they're offering a lot of discounts now before Christmas to encourage people to buy.
Oh, okay.
You don't necessarily have to wait.
Oh, okay.
So I'd look on Amazon, I'd look online, I'd go different places, Best Buy, Target, and so on. The Panasonic is that particular model is available a lot of different places. And if you're not interested in 3D, that is, then that's a great set. If you are interested in 3D, the step-up model is the ST30, which lists for $300 more. So even at discount, it's going to be a little more than the S30. But if you don't care about 3D, I'd get the S30.
Yeah, I'd say not.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Great.
Happy holidays to you.
You too.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Kevin in California. Hey, Kevin. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. I have a question that's kind of unique, but not so unique after all. I live in a duplex that was built in 1955. It's got paper-thin walls.
Oh, yeah.
I can barely turn my TV and surround sound on without my neighbor going nuts.
No. That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that.
I've tried a lot of different speaker placements. I've even had the subwoofer actually turned off for the last 6 months. I was wondering if you had any ideas on speaker placement or anything like that that might alleviate the situation.
Well, I'm not sure I can. Certainly, if you can place your speakers out from the wall into the room, that would undoubtedly help to some degree. Are your speakers freestanding, or are they mounted on the wall?
No, they're on the stands.
They're on stands. So you can move them out into the room. Do you have kids or pets that could be running around and knocking them over?
No, I do not.
Okay, so that's not a problem. Only you might knock them over. So yeah, moving them out into the room would be one way to do it. And I'll see if I can think of something else during this break. It's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek, in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Clear. So I was talking with Kevin here, and I think I have him back. Do I?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Couple of things come to mind. We didn't get to talk about them before the break. One is that there's a mode in most AV receivers called the midnight mode. And what this is a dynamic range compression. So it reduces the difference between the loudest and softest parts of the audio. And
okay.
It's called that because it's better to use that if you've got someone sleeping in the next room. You can have the volume turned down and hear everything without there being such a wide range of, you got to turn it up to hear the vocals, and then all of a sudden an explosion happens and wakes them up. The same thing would happen. The same thing would apply to your neighbors next door with the paper-thin walls. So I would definitely suggest using the midnight mode on your receiver. The other suggestion that I was going to make was, have you considered headphones?
No, but my neighbor has.
Yeah, I bet he has. Well, I would suggest headphones as well, because that solves the problem for sure. Now, some receivers, I don't know what you have, but some receivers have something called Dolby headphone, which simulates surround sound in 2-channel headphones. And that gives you a good sense of surround sound within headphones, normal headphones. So I would look into that as well.
Okay. Now that I think about it, I have a home theater in a box, and I don't even think it has a headphone out.
Holy smokes! Who made the headphone, the home theater in a box?
It's a Samsung.
Huh. I would be shocked if it didn't have a headphone out.
All right, I'll check the back.
Well, it wouldn't be in the back, though. That's the normal,
Okay.
It would be in the front. And if there isn't one in the front, well, there isn't. Check and see if it has a midnight mode.
I will.
Then the other thing you can do, and it's more expensive and more elaborate, is to put up room treatments, acoustic treatments around the room. And in particular on that paper-thin wall, you'd want to put in pretty thick treatments. In the chat room, we're talking about eggshell egg cartons, like they used to do in funky garage recording studios. That wouldn't be very effective. But okay. Some sort of room treatment would be the other option. It'd be more expensive, more extensive, and not as easy to do. But if your system has a midnight mode, that would be the first thing I would try.
I will look for that.
Okay, thanks so much for the call.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go to line 2. Joe in Larchmont, New York. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. What can I do for you?
You're doing a great job, as always.
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
This is a question that was right up my alley, kind of a video geek. One of your callers earlier said he had a problem with some video delays on his game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah, and we suggested ending up suggesting that he look at the game mode in the TV, that he implement or engage the game mode in the TV, which might very well solve that lag problem. Do you agree?
I agree. In some of the tests we did, I worked for a video switching company. A lot of the televisions that have the doubled refresh rate and so forth.
Mm-hmm, the 120 hertz and the 240 hertz.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a lot of processing, and in so doing, they buffer the signal, which delays the signal from getting to the television. So things happen a second or two later than actually on other televisions that are getting the same signal.
Yep, that's exactly what he described.
So I don't know if you can turn that mode off or whether the game mode eliminates that, but yeah.
That's a good question. That's a very good question, whether or not the game mode eliminates that by default. What you're talking about is frame interpolation, which we talked about a little earlier on the show, where the number of frames coming in, the actual frames of video, and as we know, video consists of a series of still images presented very quickly, typically 60 times per second, 60 frames per second, but the TV actually goes one step further and creates new frames in between each of those existing frames that are coming in from the outside in order to make motion smoother. And as you say, that takes a lot of processing. I mean, it's having to generate those images from scratch, basically.
Yeah, so there's a little buffer in there, and that delays the signal from actually you're seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. So going certainly turning on game mode and going into the menu, and in the case of Samsung, it's called Auto Motion Plus. In the case of LG, it's called True Motion, I believe. Each TV has its own name for this frame interpolation, so you have to go into the menu someplace and find out where it is and just turn that off. And you'll get blurrier motion. You'll get less sharp motion, I should say. And but it would not be delayed. And certainly when you're playing a game, delays are very important.
Absolutely. Anyway, thanks so much, and keep up the great work. I'll be listening tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I'll be here tomorrow. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. Okay, I've got John in New York. Welcome to the show, Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. How about yourself?
Doing all right. I've been thinking of calling in a couple of times when you were on the air, and I heard an earlier caller saying they were having trouble with their Samsung Blu-ray player.
Uh-huh.
And I have a Samsung Blu-ray and Samsung TV, and I'm hooked up. I get the internet through the Blu-ray player, like a lot of people do.
Sure, like me.
And I've got a I've got Wi-Fi through the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the problem I'm having is sometimes when I play CDs on a Blu-ray player, the CD, the sound skips. I can hear it for a second, and then it cuts out, and then it cuts in and out a lot. And also when I listen to Pandora through the TV.
You're listening to Pandora and CDs through the TV from the TV's own speakers?
No, I have a surround sound setup.
I see. Okay.
I neglected to mention that.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about Pandora is that I check the network speed, and the network connection speed is fine for my system. It's like 10. It's not the greatest, but it's like 10, 12 Mbps most of the time.
Oh, that's plenty.
And
10 or 12 megabits per second coming in is plenty. Now, does you have this problem with other online content providers like Netflix or anything else?
no, that's what I was just going to mention. If I have a problem with Pandora, I just go to Netflix, and the sound and picture is fine. And I'm confused because I know video takes a lot more bandwidth than audio does.
Sure does.
And if I'm just listening to Pandora, I figured it would be less strain on the system. And also occasionally I have a Blu-ray that I have the same or similar problem with the sound.
I'm afraid you've stumped me. You've stumped the geek. Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Spending my day.
You're on.
Tell me.
Yep, it's me, Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, spending my day in Petaluma. And very happy to be here as well, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's enjoying himself in Paris, France. And now, of course, we are joined by the inimitable Gizwiz, the maddest writer of Mad Magazine, Dick DiBartolo. Hey, Dick, welcome to the show.
Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing great, having a wonderful time.
Oh, I know. I can tell that you just love doing that show. It's great.
I do. Leo can take a vacation or go to a conference or anything he wants, anytime he wants. And I'll be
but
here.
I think that thing of poisoning his food, I don't think it's
Yeah, well.
That's why I didn't answer your email. I didn't want to be involved in that.
Well, at this point in the show, of course, you are the one to bring us something really cool from the world of gadgets. What do you got today?
Yeah, well, you know what? I know that you're a speaker fanatic and that you test and probably own hundreds of pairs of speakers, but I try to find something I'm quite sure you don't own. Do you own TWiT slipper speakers?
No. What are those?
Okay, well, these are slippers with built-in speakers.
Do you wear them?
You wear them. And the reason I know you don't own them, Scott, is that they really don't exist.
What?
It is a wonderful company. It's a company that they're called prank packs. And they are gift boxes with full art of what is in the box. So the idea is that you give the box and then you put something inside it as your real gift. But imagine when the person opens that. And my favorite part of the TWiT is that it says inside there's an extra bonus, a headset, so you can wear your your slippers against your head and use them as
I want them.
headphones. They're great fun. They're great fun.
And so you put your whatever present you want in this box.
Exactly.
Then they unwrap the present under the Christmas tree.
The other one is a bath and brew, the coffee maker shower head, soap dispenser. And I love it says on the box, 120 volt AC power. Just what you need for the shower.
Just the thing for the shower. Oh, man.
Exactly. But they're at prankpack.com. But you know what? They're in Bed Bath & Beyond. I was at Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday. They're there for $5.99. So if you want to give someone, really freak them out for about and my theory is you could put a handkerchief in there and they would be so thankful to have something other than what was pictured on the box. You could get away with a cheap gift.
Oh, man. Pardon me. That you got me coughing there. That's hilarious. Well, we do have a Bed Bath & Beyond near my house, so I'm going to have to go see if I can get some.
You can check them out. There's a whole bunch of them.
Oh, man. So, Dick, we got the Gizwiz, the weekly, daily Gizwiz, still coming up right after this show.
Exactly. I'm going to hang around here. I know that you're going to take a couple more questions, and then you come back tomorrow. But my work starts like in 10 minutes when Tom Merritt fills in for Leo for, as you said, the weekly Daily Gizwiz.
And I'm sure looking forward to that, as I'm sure all of our listeners and chat roomers are as well.
You're going to be out of there 5 minutes after this show, and trust me.
Yep, I'm out of here. Hey, the weather's great outside. I want to go stroll around Petaluma. Thanks so much, Dick.
I think you should. Okay, take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and the Gizwiz coming back shortly for the weekly Daily Gizwiz. I think I got time for one more call. I'm going to talk to Andy in Simi Valley. Hey, Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Scott. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I am looking for some kind of an advice as far as in a good LED HD TV in a 55-inch or a 60-inch class.
Ooh, very nice. What's your budget?
Budget is under 3.
Under 3. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, let me think about that. Okay. If you're looking for LED TV, I would say, well, the Vizio makes some really good, I would definitely recommend backlight, LED backlight as opposed to edge lit. And Vizio makes some LED backlit TVs that are very good. The 553, I believe, is the end of the model number. That has a lot of letters and numbers and blah, blah, blah. But the 553 we reviewed very, very favorably. If you can afford, I don't remember what the price is on it, the Sony HX929 is another excellent choice. It's on the high end of things. Are you interested in 3D?
Not really. That could
really.
be either way. I mean, I wouldn't mind having it, but it's something that I don't really want to pay a lot extra because I'm probably not going to use it in this TV.
Sure, sure. Well, then in that case, I'd say the Vizio.
Oh, very good.
I'd say that would do you very well, and it'll be a lot under $3,000. Did you say $3,000?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. No, you'll be well under that. You'll be like half that with the Vizio.
Oh, fantastic.
Something along those lines. So, I would say that would be an excellent choice for you. I do recommend LED backlighting, as I said before, because edge lighting with dark scenes like outer space and stuff like that, it can look very uneven.
I see, yes.
And backlighting doesn't have that problem. Plus, backlighting offers what's called local dimming, in which the dark parts of the image can be dimmed, make darker still, and the bright parts of the image can be made bright, and increases the contrast ratio, lowers the black level, generally ends up in a better-looking picture.
Fantastic.
Only problem with backlighting is that if you have like a shot in outer space with stars, bright little points on a black background, they might look like they have halos around them. Also, white text on a black background, like, say, scrolling end credits.
Could have a little bit
of this haloing on them, but I prefer that to the uneven illumination in dark scenes.
I think I'd go for that also.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Okay.
I appreciate the help.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, let's see. I guess I'll go with line 1 if I have time. I hope I do. I'll give it a shot. Chuck, are you on with me? Nope, he went away. Okay, well, I think we're coming to the end of the Tech Guy show for Saturday, December 10th. And I want to thank everyone here for making me feel so comfortable and at home at the Brick House. It's my first time broadcasting from this wonderful new studio. And it's just a pleasure and a joy to talk with all of you and to have the chat room coming along for the ride. And I'll be doing it again tomorrow. So I hope you will join me for that. And Beatmaster in the chat room says, don't forget to plug my show. Of course, you want to check out my podcast here on the TWiT network, which is called Home Theater Geeks. It records Mondays from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. You can watch live at twit.tv. You can join the chat room there, and I always take questions from the chat room. So until next time, geek out.
Clear. Good work, Scott.
Thanks, Kyle.